I'm a professional stand-in girlfriend for 5 different CEOs. One second, I'm tearfully begging CEO A not to leave me. The next, I'm wiping my eyes and heading off to sign divorce papers with CEO B. My plan was simple. Once I was done with all of them, I'd take their money and go hire 8 male models for myself. But I never expected that while accompanying the last CEO to a party, my 4 ex-boyfriends would all be there. Seeing their grim faces, my vision went black. Chapter 1. Ethan Pierce tossed a credit card at my face. I hung my head, tears falling one by one. Ethan, please don't leave me. His voice was cold. Melody Finch, you're just a stand-in. Don't get any ideas. There's $2 million on that card. Take it and get lost. Ethan, my voice was thick with sobs. I can't live without you. We've been together for a year. We have so many beautiful memories. Don't you have any feelings for me at all? $2 million. Was he trying to get rid of a beggar? You love me. What's that got to do with me? Ethan scoffed and turned to leave. I quickly grabbed the corner of his jacket. I'm begging you, Ethan. Please don't leave me, okay? You promised you'd take me to Bali? I looked up at him. I knew that from this angle, all he could see were my glistening tears and my innocent, pleading, doe-like eyes. It was a look I had practiced in the mirror for a long time. It was guaranteed to make him feel a pang of sympathy. Sure enough, I saw a flicker of emotion in his eyes. You love me that much? I nodded without hesitation. Of course, I did. I was deeply in love with his money. A small smile played on Ethan's lips. In that case, how about you stay by my side as my little secret? A canary in a cage no one knows about. I froze. Dude, I just want your money and you want to own me. Isn't that a bit much? I was speechless, but my face lit up with a hint of joy. I am a professional stand-in after all. My skills are top-notch. But Miss Arya? I began, hesitating. Arya was Ethan's old flame. At the mention of her name, the sympathy in his eyes vanished. After a moment, he said, I'll add another $1 million. You can go to Bali by yourself. With that, he pulled his hand away and shut the door behind him. The second the door clicked shut, I eagerly wiped away my tears, snatched the card off the carpet, and kissed it twice. So what if Ethan was a bit tight-fisted? I had 4 other gigs just like this one timing-wise. It was about time to wrap them all up. Once this was over, I was going to hire 8 male models to heal the emotional trauma I'd endured. Energized by the thought, I glanced in the mirror. Perfect. My eyes were red and swollen. I looked completely heartbroken. I dialed the number of the second CEO, Ethan Reynolds. Ethan, can we not get a divorce? Ethan Reynolds let out a sarcastic laugh. Melody Finch, what kind of game are you playing now? I made my voice sound as sorrowful as possible. Ethan, don't think so poorly of me. I just love you too much. Ha, he sneered. Love me? I think you can't bear to give up the title of Mrs. Reynolds. Melody Finch, I'm waiting for you at City Hall. You have half an hour. If you're not here, I have countless ways to make you regret it. He hung up. I slipped the phone into my pocket, dabbed some foundation over my lips to make myself look pale, and aimed for an overall appearance of being haggard and distraught. Before leaving, I checked my handbag. Seeing the medical report inside, I smiled with satisfaction and hailed a cab to City Hall. When I arrived, Ethan Reynolds was standing at the entrance, looking at me with disgust. The moment I got out of the car, he grabbed my wrist and dragged me inside to get in line. While we were waiting for our number to be called, I pinched my thigh hard, forcing tears to well up in my eyes. What's there to cry about? Ethan shot me an impatient glance. I let the tears fall silently, my voice soft and weak. Ethan, do we really have to do this? What? Can't bear to part with your position as Mrs. Reynolds? He asked mockingly. No, I bit my lip, taking a long pause before continuing as if the words were difficult to say. Ethan, can't you just stay with me for 2 more months? In your dreams, he sneered. Just then, our number was called. Under Ethan Reynolds's cold gaze, I pressed my thumbprint onto the documents, tears streaming down my face. As we walked out of City Hall, he looked at me with a raised eyebrow. Melody Finch, what are you really up to? Why were you so cooperative today? I managed a pained smile. Ethan, I don't have long to live. Ethan froze for a second. Wow, Melody Finch, you'd even curse yourself just to get more money? I'm not, I said, forcing a smile onto my pale face as I pulled the forged diagnosis from my pocket. Ethan, I'm not lying. I've been diagnosed with terminal stomach cancer. I only have 2 months left. I lowered my head and gave a bitter laugh. I was hoping to spend a little more time with you, but now, it seems that's not needed. Ethan Reynolds held the diagnosis, his expression shifting. When did this happen? Last month, I lied smoothly. He was silent for a long time, a look of guilt growing in his eyes. You know, maybe. My internal alarm bells went off. You've got to be kidding me. Now is not the time for a crisis of conscience. All I want is a bit of cash. Luckily, I had a backup plan. Sure enough, his phone rang just then. It was the special ringtone he had for his true love. His expression softened as he spoke gently to the person on the other end. After hanging up, he looked at me with a complicated expression. Melody Finch, I can't stay with you. I'll give you $5 million. Go get treatment. He rushed off, leaving me standing alone in the street, head bowed in sorrow. But what they didn't know was that I was about to burst out laughing. $5 million, Ethan Reynolds, you truly were my husband. So generous, this divorce was totally worth it. I returned to my hotel, looking utterly devastated. The moment I closed the door, I eagerly checked my bank notifications. There it was, Ethan Pierce and Ethan Reynolds had both transferred the money. Including the card from Pierce, I was now a woman with $8 million. I could keep 8 male models on retainer for a year before I could celebrate for too long. My third CEO, Ethan Sinclair, called. Melody Finch, Evelyn is in the hospital. I want to see you within 10 minutes. Ethan Sinclair's voice was firm. I sighed. All right. I hung up, sent a text, and went to a designated spot to pick up a blood bag. Then, I applied another thick layer of powder to my lips to make myself look even weaker before dragging my frail body to the hospital. When Ethan Sinclair saw me, he immediately tried to pull me toward the blood donation room. I stopped him and handed him the blood bag. Ethan, I already have it ready. He glanced at me. Smart girl. I gave a bitter smile. Ethan, the doctor said my body can't handle donating blood anymore. Chapter 2. What? Ethan Sinclair's face changed instantly. Melody Finch, are you trying to kill Evelyn? You know her blood type is rare and she's not well. If you don't donate, what will happen when she gets sick again? I rolled my eyes internally. Her blood type is rare, not unique to me. A powerful CEO like Ethan Sinclair can't find another donor. Despite my thoughts, I put on a sorrowful expression. Ethan, if I could help you, I'd give you my life without a second thought, but as his expression darkened, I pulled the forged stomach cancer report from my handbag. I have terminal cancer. I don't have many days left. Ethan Sinclair looked utterly stunned. What did you say? I sighed, putting the fake report back in my bag as tears fell one by one. If I were healthy, I would give Evelyn all the blood she needs. As long as I can see you, Ethan, I'd do anything. I was so moved by my own performance that I had to wipe away a fake tear. I choked out, but never mind. Ethan, I'm sorry, let's break up. Hearing this, he didn't get angry. Instead, he looked at me with a complex expression. You have this disease, why didn't you tell me? Ethan, you're always so busy taking care of Evelyn. How could I bear to make you worry about me too? I said, turning to leave. I was certain he'd be moved by my words. As expected, he grabbed my sleeve. Let's go see a doctor. I shook my head. The doctor said it's hopeless. I'll find you the best doctors, Melody Finch. I won't let you die. I was exasperated. What, save my life so I can be Evelyn's personal, walking blood bank? In your dreams, I forced a bitter smile. Forget it, Ethan. Don't waste your money. Being able to spend my last days with you is all I could ask for. I nearly gagged on my own words. It was sickening. Ethan Sinclair was stubborn and insisted on taking me to the hospital. Just as I was trying to figure out how to get rid of him, a nurse hurried over. Mr. Sinclair, Miss Vance has fainted again. At that, Ethan completely forgot about me. He let go of my arm. Melody, go check yourself into the hospital first. I'll transfer you $3 million for medical expenses later. $3 million? That's acceptable. I reluctantly agreed. The moment Ethan Sinclair entered the hospital room, I turned and left. Walking out into the bright sunshine, I couldn't help but think that my foolishly generous ex-husband was still the best of the lot. The money from Sinclair arrived that evening. I immediately went and hired some male models. Feeling their sexy abs as I sat with my legs crossed, I sighed. This was the life. 3 CEOs down, 2 to go. I slept soundly in the arms of a male model, then went to find my 4th CEO. Finished the job, Hire the models. I was full of motivation. CEO number 4 was Ethan Sterling. I was the canary he kept to provoke his old flame. When I found him, he was drinking with friends. As soon as I entered the private room, someone jeered, "Sterling, your little girlfriend is here again." What's she here for this time? To tell Mr. S not to drink again? Who knows? I'm telling you, Mr. S, this girlfriend of yours is way too controlling. If it were me, I'd have dumped her long ago. I had heard these insults 100 times and was used to them. I kept a straight face and timidly walked over to Ethan Sterling. He looked at me impatiently. "What are you doing here?" His friend laughed. "What else? She probably heard Susie is back and came to beg Mr. S not to dump her." The whole room roared with laughter. Susie was Ethan Sterling's great love, the woman he had supposedly cherished for 5 years. She was about to return to the country. The moment she did, Sterling would surely drop me, and I probably wouldn't get much out of it. It would be better to be smart and bow out myself. Maybe Sterling would feel sorry for me and give me some extra cash. With that in mind, I lifted my pitiful-looking face and tugged at his sleeve. This was usually his weakness. Whenever I did this, his bad temper would vanish. It worked this time, too. His brow relaxed slightly. "What do you want now?" I spoke timidly. "I have something to say to you. Can you give me 10 minutes? He frowned impatiently. His buddies started mimicking my voice. I looked down as if I couldn't bear the humiliation, tears clinging to my eyelashes. In the end, he softened. "I'll give you 10 minutes. If you can't say it by then, don't bother," he said gruffly. I nodded happily. "Can we go outside?" I glanced around. He gave me a look and followed me to a secluded spot. As soon as we stopped, I started crying. "Ethan, Susie dear is coming back soon. I know you love her very much, and my existence is just a thorn in her side." He looked at me, annoyed. "What are you trying to say? You must be worried about this too, Ethan." "I just want to say, let's break up. I'll disappear, and I promise I'll never show up in front of Susie dear or bother you too." He looked at me, stunned. "Are you out of your mind?" My face stiffened, and I started crying even more pitifully. "I just want you to be happy, Ethan." He impatiently waved my hand away. "If that's all you have to say, then go home. Don't be a nuisance." He turned and walked away. I stared at his back, bewildered. Did I fail? Damn it, what a waste of a whole year I was about to go after him. But then my 5th CEO, Ethan Knight, sent me a message. "You're coming with me to a birthday banquet tomorrow. Come over now to pick out a dress." I clicked my tongue. Sterling had a stubborn streak. Pestering him now probably wouldn't get me anywhere. It might even jeopardize things with Ethan Knight. Knight was the wealthiest of the 5. He would definitely give me a hefty breakup fee. Without a second thought, I gave up on Sterling and went to meet Ethan Knight. He looked at me with cold eyes. "Melody Finch, don't try any tricks. I'm having you come to highlight Claire's good qualities, so my mother will agree to our marriage. Do you understand?" Yes, the final true love has appeared. Male models. Here I come. I was ecstatic inside, but my face was a mask of sorrow. "Ethan, I love you too." He grabbed my chin, his tone icy. "Don't be delusional, Melody Finch. Know your place. Take the money tomorrow and get lost." I lowered my head sadly, revealing vulnerable tears as I choked out, "Okay, I understand." Seeing me like this, he seemed to feel a shred of pity. "You've been with me for over a year. I won't treat you unfairly. I'll give you $8 million after we break up." How much? $8 million. For that kind of money, I wouldn't just be a backdrop for his true love. I'd be her postpartum nurse. I cheerfully took the money and went home in a heartbroken state to change, eagerly awaiting the big payday tomorrow. The next morning, just as I had finished applying some pale, fragile-looking makeup, Ethan Knight's car arrived to pick me up. When we got to the venue, he warned me again with a cold face, "Don't say anything you're not supposed to." I linked my arm with his and entered the banquet hall cautiously, a forced smile on my face. The moment we stepped into the hall, my smile froze completely. Because standing there were 4 men: Ethan Pierce, Ethan Reynolds, Ethan Sinclair, and Ethan Sterling. Not a single one was missing. They were all there. Chapter 3. My vision went black, and I nearly fainted. How were all 4 of my former clients here? If they found out about me, would I ever have a moment's peace again? My heart pounded as my mind raced. No matter what, I couldn't let them find me. Ethan Knight was the guest of honor, so as soon as he entered, all eyes were on him, including the eyes of my 4 exes. I quickly tried to hide behind him. He frowned at me. What kind of trick are you trying to pull now? Hearing that familiar CEO line, an idea struck me. I have to use the restroom. Before he could refuse, I blurted out, I can't hold it if you don't let me go. I'm going to embarrass us both in public. A look of disgust crossed his face. Aside from your looks, you can't compare to Claire in any way. I had to admire my own dedication to the role. Even at a time like this, I didn't forget my character. I lowered my head pitifully, forcing a smile. I'm sorry for embarrassing you. Then, with a look of defiant sorrow, I turned and headed for the restroom. I could feel curious gazes on my back, but I couldn't worry about that now. The most important thing was to not get caught. I had only taken a dozen steps when I heard Ethan Sinclair's voice. Mr. Knight, your date. Have I seen her somewhere before? My heart skipped a beat and I quickened my pace. This was a nightmare. If I had known they all ran in the same circle, I never would have taken on all 5 jobs at once, but it was too late for regrets. I paced anxiously in the restroom. I had to go back out eventually. I still had to complete the task Ethan Knight gave me. That meant I would definitely run into them. I'm doomed, utterly doomed, I was wailing internally, but my face was numb, completely expressionless. Just then, the restroom door was pushed open. I instinctively glanced over. The woman in the lead was arrogant, her dress ostentatiously adorned with rhinestones. You're Melody Finch? She looked me up and down, then sneered. You look so pathetic. What makes you think you're good enough for Ethan Knight? Exactly, and you even dream of replacing Claire. You really don't know your place. Seeing their aggressive stance, a light bulb went off in my head. Was I about to get bullied? Oh my God, this was perfect. I was just worrying about how to get through this, and now a solution had presented itself. What damsel in a CEO novel hasn't been bullied? They wanted to humiliate me. Perfect, because I wanted to be humiliated ideally. They would mess up my makeup so badly that those men wouldn't be able to recognize me. Problem solved. I was a genius. I recalled the scenes from the novels I had read and began to act my part. First, I clutched my chest like a frightened little rabbit. Then, with a trembling voice, I said, What are you doing? If you lay a hand on me, Ethan won't let you get away with it. The lead woman with the rhinestones rolled her eyes dramatically. She waved her hand, and one of her lackeys stepped forward with a large bucket of paint and threw it at me without a word. I was overjoyed inside, but pretended to be terrified, clumsily failing to dodge as the paint splattered all over me. The rhinestone woman burst out laughing. Melody Finch, this is just a warning if you don't learn your place. Don't blame me for what happens next. I hung my head, my entire body exuding vulnerability, not daring to talk back. They seemed to find it boring, and after a few more threats, they left. I deliberately found a spot with a security camera, squatted down, and started to pretend to cry, using my paint-covered hands to smear my face into a complete mess. I refused to believe it after all this. They could still recognize me. Impossible. I was deep in my performance when my phone buzzed. It was a message from Ethan Knight. Come back. I weakly wiped my tears. It's not a good time right now. Melody Finch, don't make me say it twice. Seeing those cold words, I started crying even harder. On my way back, many people stared at me strangely, some even dodging me as if I were some kind of monster. My face was a picture of pitiful grievance, but inside, I was ecstatic. This was exactly the result I wanted when I appeared before Ethan Knight, disheveled and covered in paint, his face darkened. Melody Finch, are you trying to humiliate me even more? I just stood there, silently crying. Ethan Knight was the center of attention, and many people who were watching him naturally noticed me. Mrs. Knight's gaze fell on me, and her brow furrowed deeply. This is the girlfriend you found? Ethan Knight didn't deny it. His mother's expression grew even darker. This is absurd, an idea sparked in my mind. Auntie, Ethan and I are truly in love. Please, give us your blessing. The more of a scene I made, the more his mother would hate me, which was better for me as expected. Mrs. Knight was so angry she could barely maintain her elegant facade. She gritted her teeth. True love, I think you're just a gold digger. Get out, Ethan Knight, make her get out. I immediately put on a deeply wounded expression, on the verge of tears. But inside, I was blooming with joy. Please, make me leave, before my 4 exes spot me, but Ethan Knight was determined to defy his mother. Mom, you should have expected this the day you drove Claire away. I won't let the same thing happen twice. With that, he grabbed my wrist and turned to leave. The expression on my face froze. For a moment, my heart sank. Ethan Knight, you're not human. You got to make your grand statement, but what about me? Do you have any idea how desperate I am right now? He couldn't hear my frantic inner screaming. He just said to me coldly, "Well done, go change your clothes." I stuck to my character. "Ethan, did I embarrass you?" I didn't mean to. Some people bullied me, they threw paint on me. What's that got to do with me? His gaze was cold. "Go change into some clean clothes and then amuse yourself. I have business to discuss." He handed me a key and walked away. I stared at his back, cursing him as a scumbag in my mind. I wanted to just leave, but his bodyguard blocked my way. "Miss Finch, please don't make things difficult for me." Tears streamed down my face. I had no choice but to follow him upstairs, change into a clean dress, and wash my face. I looked at my reflection in the mirror, worried. I have a very recognizable face. If I went out there, those four would definitely spot me. What excuse could I use this time? Chapter 4. My mind raced, my eyes darting around the room. Then, they lit up. I'm allergic to mangoes. There was plenty of fruit at this banquet. All I had to do was find some mango and take a few bites, right? I refused to believe they'd still recognize me when my face was covered in red blotches, even though I was technically their stand-in. We only saw each other a few times a month. I was sure they weren't that familiar with my face. At that thought, I couldn't help but call myself a genius. I changed into a new dress, cautiously left the room, and snuck around, avoiding my 4 ex-CEOs until I reached the fruit station. Without a second thought, I started chomping on a mango. After just 2 bites, I felt my skin start to itch. The allergic reaction was kicking in. Just as I was gleefully waiting for it to fully develop, a cool voice sounded next to my ear. "Melody Finch." I jumped, my body stiffening. It was Ethan Pierce's voice. When I didn't respond, he seemed to grow impatient and took 2 steps closer. "Didn't you say you were going to Bali? What are you doing at the Knight family's banquet?" He trailed off, his voice stopping abruptly. I turned to look at him and saw my own swollen face reflected in his eyes. Haha, I look like a pig, forget them. I barely recognized myself, my tongue felt thick as I asked, "What are you saying?" His expression darkened. "You're not Melody Finch." "Who's Mehdi Finch?" I continued to play dumb. He stared at me for a moment, then suddenly sneered. "You think you can fool me by looking like this?" He leaned in close, his finger tapping the teardrop mole at the corner of my eye. "Melody Finch, only you have this mole." My heart sank, but I kept a blank expression, took out an eyeliner pencil, and dotted a few more spots on my face. "You mean this? You like it? I can draw one for you too." Ethan Pierce frowned, frozen in place with a look of suspicion. It seemed like he was a little confused. Fearing I'd blow my cover if I kept talking to him, I made an excuse to escape. "I'm not talking to you anymore. I'm having an allergic reaction. I need to go to the hospital." He didn't stop me. Just as I breathed a sigh of relief, I bumped into someone else. I looked up in despair. Ethan Sterling looked down, his eyes narrowed. His cool fingertips touched my swollen lips, and I let out a satisfied sigh. He sneered. "So, you wanted to break up with me to get on board with the Knights?" My heart clenched. "You've got the wrong person." "Don't pretend," he said, his gaze chilling. "You really think I wouldn't recognize you?" I looked up at him. Of the 5, Ethan Sterling was the most dangerous and the one I could never figure out. His eyes were fixed on me, and the longer he looked, the colder my heart grew. I was almost certain that he had indeed recognized me. I lowered my eyes without a word. He pinched my cheek, his voice laced with sarcasm. "Melody Finch, I really underestimated you. You actually managed to get in here." I hadn't gotten any money from him yet, so of course, I couldn't admit my connection to Ethan Knight. I blinked, an idea forming in my head. I secretly bit my tongue, and the pain made tears spring to my eyes. "Why do you think I'm here?" "It was for you." He raised an eyebrow, his eyes full of disbelief. Sobbing, I said in a pitiful voice, "I know Susie dear is back, and you're definitely going to leave me." But I couldn't accept it. I just wanted to see for myself how beautiful the person you love is. I wanted to know where I went wrong. "Is that so bad?" I lowered my head, wiping my tears. I had to keep my head down. If my face wasn't swollen from the allergy, I would have given a 120 performance of a damsel in distress and cried until his heart melted. Unfortunately, with a face like a pig's head, even the sweetest voice lost its charm. I sighed internally while crying my heart out. Ethan Sterling still didn't say anything. I made myself sound even more pathetic. I don't know anything or anyone here. I didn't even dare to talk to anyone. I just wanted to see you one last time, but I was hungry, so I found something to eat, and I had an allergic reaction. Ethan, I'm already in such a miserable state. Why do you still have to yell at me? He seemed annoyed by my crying. He frowned. All right, stop crying. I'll take you to the hospital. My scalp tingled. If I went to the hospital now, what would happen when Ethan Knight came looking for me? But Ethan Sterling was used to getting his way. I had no room to argue with his decisions. He said a quick word to someone next to him and then led me away. He pushed me into the passenger seat of his car. I didn't know whether to be happy or anxious. Happy because I was finally free from the 5 CEO nightmare and didn't have to worry about being exposed. Anxious because, if Ethan Knight found out I left, would he still give me the $8 million? That was $8 million if I didn't get it. I would die of regret. My anxious state must have looked like devastation to him. He glanced at me with a frown. You love me that much? My acting skills kicked in instantly. I gave him a shy look. Do you still not know how true my feelings for you are? He chuckled, then honked the horn loudly. Over the blaring sound, I heard his voice, slow and clear. Liar. Your so-called sincerity is just about wanting money. I pretended not to hear him. Obviously, only an idiot would admit that after that, we didn't speak for the rest of the drive. At the hospital, the doctor said I hadn't eaten much mango, so the reaction wasn't too severe. An IV drip would clear it up by the next day. Halfway through the drip, someone came and whispered in Ethan Sterling's ear. He glanced at me, his eyes indifferent. I have something to take care of. I'm leaving. You can go home by yourself when the drip is finished. I've already paid. Even then, I didn't forget my role. Ethan, are you going to see Susie? He gave me a lazy look. Don't ask what you're not supposed to. I lowered my head, pretending to be heartbroken. But the moment he closed the door, a smile spread across my face. Holding the IV stand, I looked down from the window, and after confirming his car had left, I yanked the needle out of my hand and ran. Because my benefactor was calling. 10 minutes earlier, he had sent me a message. Where are you? I had to get back as soon as possible. It wouldn't be good to anger my client. Chapter 5. I bought a mask and sunglasses at a nearby pharmacy, disguising myself completely before hurriedly hailing a cab back. When I reached the entrance, I was stopped by security. I had no choice but to call Ethan Knight. When he answered, his voice was cold. Where did you go? I said softly. Can you let me in? They're not letting me through. There was a moment of silence on the other end. I could almost picture his expression. Frowning, clearly displeased. After 10 seconds of silence, he hung up. I stood there in my thin dress, shivering in the cold early spring wind. Another 10 minutes passed before he came out. The moment he saw me, his brow furrowed. What's with this getup? I didn't dare hide it from him. I answered honestly. I accidentally ate some mango and had an allergic reaction, so I went to the hospital for an IV drip. Hearing this, his expression turned strange. He seemed skeptical. He walked up to me and lifted my mask. When he saw the red blotches on my face, a look of disgust crossed his features, and he quickly covered my face again with the mask. Then he delicately wiped his fingertips with a wet wipe. Let's go. I hurried to follow him. This time, the security guard didn't stop me. Once we were back in the banquet hall, I asked, Ethan, did you need me for something? His voice was indifferent. No, I froze. If you didn't need anything, why did you text me? You made me rush back and waste $100 on a cab just as I was gritting my teeth in frustration. He said coolly, a lot of people are watching at this banquet. Don't embarrass me. Also, his eyes fell on me, don't get any funny ideas. My heart skipped a beat. What did he mean by that? Was he warning me? Did he see me with Ethan Pierce and Ethan Sterling? I suppressed my shock and said meekly, Ethan, I'll be good. He gave a sarcastic smile. I hope so. I returned to the banquet, fully disguised, and tried to shrink into a corner, praying no one would find me, but my hopes were dashed. When Ethan Reynolds found me in the corner, I was completely stunned. He looked down at me, puzzled. What are you doing here? I held my glass of wine, at a complete loss for how to explain why a terminal cancer patient was drinking at a party instead of being in a hospital. But I've always been quick on my feet. I put down my glass, my eyes welling with tears. I'm sorry, I missed you so much that I snuck in. I just wanted to see you from afar. I lowered my head, my voice filled with longing. You're not mad, are you? He looked at me with a complicated expression. You wrapped yourself up like this just so I wouldn't find you. I mumbled a yes, still not daring to look up. He reached out to take off my mask, but I subtly turned my head away. Don't, I look awful right now. His expression became even more complex. He hesitated before asking, You love me that much? Love my foot. You already gave me the money. If I wasn't afraid you'd make a scene and attract the attention of Knight and Sterling, I wouldn't be wasting my breath on you despite my inner monologue. My face was a mask of sorrow. What does it matter if I love you or not? As long as you're happy, I'm happy. With that, I added, I wish you all the best. I turned to leave, but before I could take 2 steps, he grabbed my arm. I cursed at him internally, but maintained my fragile demeanor. Since the person you love is back, just let me go, Ethan Reynolds. He frowned slightly, his gaze complicated. Melody Finch, go get treatment. It's not completely hopeless. I was desperate to get away from him. It's already terminal, what hope is there? Ethan Reynolds, just seeing you one last time makes me happy. I have other things to do, so I won't bother you anymore. I shook off his hand and ran. He hesitated for a moment but didn't follow. When I reached another corner, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. I couldn't believe it. I had covered myself so thoroughly, and yet Ethan Reynolds still recognized me. No, I had to find a better hiding spot. After a moment's thought, I packed a bag of food and hid in the women's dressing room. I refused to believe anyone could find me here. Well, you'd be surprised. I listened numbly to the sounds coming from the next room. It was a woman's coquettish voice. Ethan, not in here. It would be so embarrassing if someone saw us. It was Ethan Sinclair and his lady love. The 2 of them were getting busy next door. I listened with a blank expression, even munching on a small cake. Just as I swallowed the last bite, I heard a loud crash. The partition between my room and theirs had shattered. It had actually shattered, it fell to the floor in pieces. Sinclair's girlfriend had been leaning against it, and when it broke, she nearly fell to the ground. It was only Sinclair's quick reflexes that saved her, pulling her into a tight embrace. That prevented her from falling on me. He frowned at me, his voice full of suspicion. Melody Finch, what are you doing here? He narrowed his eyes and stepped in front of his girlfriend. What are you planning? I waved my hand. Don't worry, I'm not interested in your aria. He looked confused. Whose aria? My heart dropped. Crap, I mixed them up. Aria was Ethan Pierce's flame. What was Ethan Sinclair's girlfriend's name again? I couldn't remember, but that didn't stop me from acting. I knew that with his blockhead logic, he'd assume I was here to harm his girlfriend. So, I might as well turn the tables on him. I said pitifully, Ethan Sinclair, I'm already sad enough. Why did you have to bring your girlfriend in front of me? Are you trying to show off how happy you are? He was speechless. I wiped away a non-existent tear. Don't worry, I'll wish you happiness. But please, don't provoke me like this again. The doctor said my condition can't handle stress. With that, I pushed open the dressing room door and walked out before he could react. But the moment I stepped out, I ran right into Ethan Knight. His voice was low. What are you doing here? It's time to toast my mother. I panicked. Ethan Sinclair followed me out, his eyes narrowed suspiciously. Mr. Knight, you know her? Ethan Knight's expression was cold. She's my date, what do you think? Chapter 6. Your date? Ethan Sinclair's eyes narrowed, his suspicious gaze sweeping over me. I prayed silently, Ethan, please don't say anything stupid. If I lose that 8 million, I'll never forgive you, but my prayers went unanswered. Sinclair's clueless voice rang out, Melody Finch, don't you have cancer? Why are you here as someone else's date? At those words, my face turned ashen. Ethan Knight frowned, looking at me quizzically. Cancer? I could only squeeze out a couple of tears. I didn't mean to hide it from you, Ethan. I just love. I glanced at Ethan Sinclair and quickly changed my tune. I just wanted to attend this banquet with you so much. That was a close call. If I had said I loved him, Sinclair, in his idiotic state, would have definitely caused a scene. I can't take this anymore if I've sinned. Let the law punish me. Not this chaotic showdown. I didn't want to stay here any longer. I gently tugged on Ethan Knight's sleeve. Weren't we going to make a toast? Let's go. He grunted in agreement and started to lead me away, but after just 2 steps, my wrist was grabbed by Ethan Sinclair. I forced a smile that was uglier than a grimace. Is there something else, Mr. Sinclair? Mr. Sinclair, he sneered. Since when are you so formal with me? I laughed awkwardly, saying nothing. Ethan Knight's expression darkened. "Are you very familiar with my date?" "Couldn't be more familiar," Sinclair said with a humorless smile. Knight's face turned grim. He coldly shook off my hand. "Explain." I glanced at Sinclair, on the verge of tears. What kind of idiot was this guy? Getting frisky in a women's dressing room was one thing, but now he was dragging me into this mess. I looked at Ethan Knight with a wounded expression. "Mr. Sinclair and I are just ordinary friends." Then, I turned to Sinclair with a sad smile, creating the illusion that I couldn't admit our relationship because his girlfriend was present. Sinclair sneered. "Yes, just friends." I had just breathed a sigh of relief when his next words made my heart leap into my throat again. "But, Mr. Knight, didn't you know your date has terminal stomach cancer, and you're letting her drink?" Knight's brow furrowed. "I am well aware of my date's condition. I don't need you to worry about it, Mr. Sinclair." With that, he led me away. Once we were far from the dressing room, he asked coldly, "When did you get stomach cancer?" I lied awkwardly, "A while ago." "Why didn't you tell me?" "You're so busy every day. I didn't want to worry you." He looked at me, and I couldn't tell if he believed me or not. I was extremely nervous, but thankfully, he didn't press the issue. I followed him to toast his mother. But as we entered the private room, I froze completely, because all of my ex-boyfriends were gathered there. Since I had to toast his mother, I wasn't wearing my mask or sunglasses. My face was exposed for everyone to see. The IV drip had reduced the allergic reaction, so anyone who knew me could recognize me. My body went rigid. At that moment, I felt utterly hopeless. Ethan Sterling looked at me with a half smile. The corners of his lips were turned up, but it sent a shiver down my spine. Ethan Reynolds pushed up his glasses, his sharp, icy gaze barely concealed. Ethan Sinclair, who had followed me in, was still staring at my face. And Ethan Pierce gritted his teeth and sneered, "So it really is you, Melody Finch." His voice was not quiet, and everyone in the room heard him. Ethan Knight narrowed his eyes at me, his voice dripping with ice. "You know him?" I forced myself to say. "No, I don't." I never would have dreamed of this. I thought this toast would be a simple family dinner with no outsiders. But why? Why were they all here? Oh, heavens, after a lifetime of being so clever, was this where I was going to fall? When they heard me say I didn't know him, a chill seemed to emanate from Ethan Pierce. "You don't. Well, Miss Finch, you certainly have a short memory. Wasn't it just the other day you were begging me to take you to Bali, pleading with me not to leave?" Ethan Pierce, I cursed his name in my head, wanting to bite his head off. With that statement, there was no way I could smooth things over. Sure enough, the next second, Ethan Reynolds chuckled, casually adjusting his glasses. "Take you to Bali? Melody Finch, if I remember correctly, we just got divorced not long ago. Were you cheating on me?" "Divorced?" Ethan Sinclair's eyes widened. "What's going on? Melody Finch, didn't you say you only loved me? What is all this? You better explain yourself." Ethan Sterling didn't lose his temper like the others. He calmly fiddled with a string of prayer beads, his eyes cold. "So, you wanted to break up with me because of these four?" His words stunned the entire room. Everyone's eyes darted back and forth between us, making my skin crawl. Help me, what crime did I commit to deserve such a massive showdown? Mrs. Knight, who had been about to target me, was now forgotten, just muttering in confusion, "Aren't you Ethan's fiancé?" "How?" Ethan Knight narrowed his eyes at me. "Melody Finch, care to explain?" It was over. Everything was over. I was exposed. Resigned to my fate, my face was a blank mask. I forced a smile and started lying. "Well, if I said I have 4 identical twin sisters, would you believe me?" Ethan Sinclair sneered. "And your 4 identical twin sisters are all named Melody Finch?" I nodded stiffly. Yes, that's right. Haha, I didn't realize you were so smart you figured it out." He looked like he was about to explode. He clenched his jaw, looking as if he wanted to skin me alive. Ethan Knight's grip on my wrist tightened. It seemed I had infuriated him as well. This was hopeless. None of these 5 CEOs were easy to deal with. They were the type to ruin someone at the drop of a hat. If I offended them, I wouldn't just be ruined, I'd be torn to pieces. While they were all fuming, I cautiously lifted my dress, planted my feet, and made a run for it. No one was going to stop me today, I declared it, but I didn't get 2 steps before someone grabbed me by the scruff of my neck and dragged me back. I turned my head to see Ethan Knight staring at me grimly. "Melody Finch, you're a real piece of work." I sure was. I had a royal flush and played it like a losing hand. Ethan Sinclair gritted his teeth. You dared to lie to me, Melody Finch. Do you know what happens to people who lie to me? I shrank back, glancing at his girlfriend. Evelyn, maybe? You could talk to him? Chapter 7. Evelyn looked at me with a complicated expression and asked Ethan Sinclair softly, "Who is she?" He avoided her gaze, mumbling, "Just someone who's pursuing me." I couldn't tell if she believed him. She blinked and looked at Ethan Knight and the others. Then, what does this woman have to do with them? The room fell silent. My skin crawled. Ethan Pierce gritted his teeth. Melody Finch, so I wasn't the only one you were chasing. Ethan Reynolds added with a cold sneer. So, you were pursuing other men while you were married to me? Ethan Sterling's face was blank, but his eyes held a dangerous smile. Ethan Knight's entire being radiated coldness. Melody Finch, what did you promise me? Weren't you supposed to behave? I was numb. Completely numb. How tragic to think that I, Melody Finch, the professional stand-in, was exposed right on the verge of successfully managing 5 CEOs at once. I forced a weak smile, making one last attempt. Well, how about you let me explain? Ethan Knight sneered. I lowered my head. I knew that even if I spun the most elaborate tale, they wouldn't believe me now. Just as I was trying to figure out how to escape, he let out a sudden, soft laugh. Fine then, explain. Let's see what you can come up with. I was completely caught off guard. My rusty brain started whirring. From his expression, it was clear that if my explanation wasn't good enough, he'd have me thrown in a river to feed the fish. Ethan Sinclair glanced at me, then said softly to Evelyn, "Sweetheart, I'll have the driver take you home first. I'll come find you after I've handled this." Evelyn's gaze lingered on me, tinged with hostility. I want to stay with you. Be good, listen to me. His voice left no room for argument. Her eyes reddened, but she knew staying wouldn't change anything. She murmured, "Okay." After Evelyn left, Ethan Sinclair's demeanor changed. He stared at me intently. "Go on, Melody Finch." After racking my brain, I couldn't come up with a good excuse. I threw caution to the wind, closed my eyes, and blurted out, "What did I do wrong?" My heart was just broken into many pieces, and I gave a piece to each of you. The statement was so outrageous that Mrs. Knight was the first to react, trembling with anger. She pointed at me. "Get out, make her get out. The Knight family can't afford this embarrassment." For the first time, I felt a wave of gratitude towards her. What a good person, helping me out at a time like this. Ethan Knight seemed to realize it was inappropriate to discuss this in front of so many people. He coldly ordered someone to take me away. I was ready to leave, but the person forced me into Ethan Knight's car and stood guard outside, making it impossible for me to escape. It wasn't just him. I noticed that the bodyguards of Ethan Pierce, Ethan Sterling, and the others had also surrounded the area. The security was so tight, a fly couldn't have gotten out. I sighed, trying to find some humor in the situation. I took out my phone, looking for some entertainment. The moment I opened my social media app, my face turned green. The top trending topic was, juggling 5 CEOs, is she a bootlicker or the ultimate player? I clicked on it with a trembling hand. Sure enough, it was about me. Heth, getting to read gossip about myself. How exciting. I stared at the screen, expressionless. The netizens of today were truly something else. Not only had they figured out I was a stand-in for 5 CEOs, but they had also affectionately nicknamed me the Queen of Stand-ins. You know what? I kind of liked it. Their stories were so elaborate and convincing, I found myself engrossed. Just as I was about to join in and spread some rumors about myself, Ethan Knight got into the car, his face dark. I jumped. He sneered, "Melody Finch, I really underestimated you, to think you could juggle 5 men at once." I gave an awkward laugh. "Well, you know, life is short. Doing it all at once saves time." His face darkened even more. "Are you saying I alone am not enough to satisfy you?" I was horrified. "Don't say things like that. My services are for acting only, not my body." I was a respectable woman. I hadn't slept with any of them. He let out a sharp laugh, his grip on my wrist tightening. "The whole world knows I've been played by you. Tell me, what should we do about this?" I thought for a moment and mumbled, "You didn't exactly lose out. You were with me to pave the way for your true love, right? Wasn't I a competent supporting actress? I guarantee you, your mother is probably desperate for your old flame to marry into the family now." I glanced up at him. His face was growing darker by the second. My voice trailed off. Seeing that I had shut up, he sneered, I needed a supporting actress, not someone to make me a cuckold. I felt indignant. Legally speaking, my husband was Ethan Reynolds. And chronologically, the first CEO I pursued was Ethan Pierce. How does this make you a cuckold? If anything, you cuckolded them. I straightened my back, trying to use twisted logic to win him over. Mr. Knight, don't you think so? This is a great thing for you. Think about it. If it weren't for me, when would you ever have the chance to cuckold so many people? His face was terrifyingly grim. So you're saying I should thank you? No need to be so polite, I said with a grin. Just make sure the 8 million arrives on time. He suddenly grabbed my face, hissing through gritted teeth. How did I never realize what a sharp tongue you have? I panicked. Was he going to cut out my tongue? I was scared. Hey, if you give me the 8 million, I promise I'll never speak in front of you again. He laughed softly. 8 million isn't nearly enough. Melody Finch, someone as entertaining as you should stay by my side for a lifetime. As he said that, I heard a click. I looked down to see that he had handcuffed my wrist. Tears welled up in my eyes and a chill ran down my spine. I struggled and yelled, I sell my skills, not my body, Mr. Knight. If you want my body, you'll have to pay extra. He was clearly furious with me. I could hear him grinding his teeth. It's over. I'm definitely done for. Just as I was trying to figure out how to escape, a lazy voice drifted over, followed by Ethan Sterling's half-dead tone. Mr. Knight, where are you taking my girlfriend? He emphasized the word girlfriend, making the hairs on my arm stand up. I started to wonder if deliberately provoking them to show up was the right move after all. Ethan Knight stopped in his tracks. I looked up to see all 4 of my exes standing there, their eyes fixed on me. Haha, I'm so dead. Chapter 8. Ethan Knight gave me a look that was somewhere between a smile and a sneer, then said coolly, I'm taking my fiancé home, of course. He stressed the word fiancé. Ethan Reynolds said nonchalantly, So, Mr. Knight, you have a thing for married women? I stared at him in shock. Wow, he really went there. Was this something I was supposed to hear? Knight's face instantly darkened. Then he smiled faintly. A divorced woman can't be considered a married woman, can she? I'm just wondering what's wrong with you, Mr. Reynolds, that would make Melody want to divorce you. Knight was vicious, emphasizing the word wrong. While those two were arguing, the others weren't idle. Ethan Sterling smiled at me. Melody Finch, come home with me. If she's going anywhere, it's my home, Ethan Pierce chimed in with a laugh. Melody Finch, didn't you want to go to Bali? How about I take you now? Ethan Sinclair wasn't to be outdone. I'll never make you donate blood for Evelyn again. Melody Finch, come with me and I'll treat you right. Ethan Reynolds, who had been facing off with Knight, suddenly narrowed his eyes. Melody Finch has terminal stomach cancer and you made her donate blood. Are you even human? Terminal stomach cancer? Donate blood? They all spoke at once, their heads snapping toward me. I forced a laugh. Well, you see. Can I explain? Ethan Sterling's eyes scanned me. Drinking alcohol with terminal stomach cancer? Melody Finch, you're lying, aren't you? I knew it. He knew me best, but I couldn't admit it. If I did, would I get out of this alive? So I said, looking pitiful, I'm not lying, it's true. I just wanted to love a few more people in the final moments of my life. That way, I could experience what love feels like and fulfill my last wish. I thought my speech was heartbreaking enough to make these jerks feel sorry for me. But I forgot that Ethan Sterling didn't have a heart. He sneered, his eyes narrowing. So you decided to be a bootlicker for 5 men at the same time? Okay, I admit I had nothing to say. His words snapped the others out of their brief moment of sympathy. Ethan Knight asked me coldly, Who have you broken up with? I mumbled. Ethan Reynolds, Ethan Pierce, and Ethan Sinclair. I had already taken money from those 3. Knight's lips curled into a slight smile. Since you've already broken up, you 3 should stop pestering Melody Finch. The faces of the 3 men turned green. Ethan Sterling smiled. So, can I take Melody Finch now? Knight's smile faded. She is my date. Sterling held out a hand to me. Melody Finch, you choose? I wanted to cry. If I chose Sterling, he was stingy and wouldn't give me money. If I chose Knight, I was afraid Sterling would have me killed in my sleep. I hesitated for a long time. How about the 3 of us together, but you'd have to pay extra? Knight laughed in disbelief. Are you actually shopping around? Ethan Sterling squeezed his prayer beads so hard they broke, scattering all over the floor. Watching the beads roll everywhere, I felt like they were my own head. In the end, none of the 5 CEOs could win the argument, so they decided to do it together. Ethan Sinclair had a large villa nearby, big enough for the 6 of us to sleep in. Separately, of course. That night, just as I had fallen asleep, I heard a rustling sound outside. My eyes lit up. My reinforcements had arrived. I obediently closed my eyes and let them carry me out like a sack of potatoes. I drifted off in the peaceful atmosphere. When I opened my eyes again, my hands and feet were tied, and I was in an abandoned warehouse. The air smelled of rust and gasoline. I looked around and, sure enough, saw the delicate damsel in distress next to me. I racked my brain. This must be Ethan Sinclair's girl, Evelyn. It made sense. Who else but her could have snuck into Sinclair's villa and kidnapped me? Just then, Evelyn began to stir. Her eyelashes fluttered and tears rolled down her cheeks. She looked so pitiful and beautiful, it was heartbreaking. If I were a man, I'd fall for her too. As soon as that thought crossed my mind, the warehouse door was kicked open. I looked up to see Ethan Sinclair standing there, his face etched with anxiety. Evelyn started crying harder, tears falling like pearls, yet she didn't look messy at all. She looked as beautiful as a painting. She wasn't even sniffling. My God, she could cry without a runny nose. If the timing weren't so bad, I would have definitely asked her for tips. It could help me get more money from future clients. While I was scheming, Evelyn had already called out his name in a choked, melodious voice. Ethan. He was instantly filled with concern. He glared at the kidnapper. Let them go, the kidnapper cackled. I've heard that Mr. Sinclair has a lover he takes everywhere. I wonder. Between his true love and his little lover, who will he choose? Sinclair's face darkened. I watched from the corner as he made his choice. Evelyn was trembling. Ethan, go save Melody Finch. Don't worry about me. I don't have long to live anyway. It's worth it to trade my life for hers. Wow, I couldn't help but admire her. What a masterful move. How could Sinclair not be completely smitten by that? Sure enough, his eyes reddened. Evelyn, don't say that I will never let anything happen to you. He didn't hesitate. He chose Evelyn. When the kidnapper pushed her toward him, he immediately pulled her into his arms. I looked at his face and sighed softly. A stand-in's fate is to be a stand-in. Hearing my sigh, he gave me a complicated look. I'm sorry, Melody Finch. Evelyn saved my life. I can't abandon her. Why was he explaining this to me? I smiled at him. I wish you happiness. As I said that, I coughed. Almost simultaneously, the warehouse began to collapse. A beam fell, landing right between me and Sinclair. In that instant, I clearly saw him push Evelyn away and run toward me, his eyes red. But he was too late. Because at that very moment, I had quickly untied myself and jumped into the cellar with the kidnapper. Damn, I'm a genius to come up with such a brilliant escape plan, so what if I offended 5 CEOs at once? I still got millions out of them. I could just lie low for a couple of years, wait for this whole thing to blow over, and then make a comeback. It's not like they're the only 5 CEOs in the world. As I was cheerfully plotting my future, I thought I heard a desperate scream in the distance. Melody Finch, that unlucky voice sounded a lot like Ethan Sinclair's. Chapter 9, I shook my head. By now, Sinclair was probably holding his damsel in distress, grateful to be alive. He wouldn't be thinking about me. I must have misheard. Whatever, I'm faking my death and getting out of here. I cheerfully climbed out of the cellar, looked at the kidnappers next to me, and transferred $20,000 to each of them. Go on, you can all go now. Even though Evelyn had hired them to put on a show, who said I couldn't make a deal with them beforehand, Evelyn was just another pawn in my game. Humming a tune, I dusted myself off and made my escape. Leave this city, hire 8 male models. My good life is about to begin. 3 days later, I was by the outdoor pool of my villa, holding a wine glass and taking small sips. Next to me, a male model with an 8-pack was gently massaging my legs. My phone was buzzing nonstop. I glanced at it. Without exception, all the messages were from my 5 exes. At first, they were mostly asking where I was. Then, maybe Sinclair had told them something, because they started asking if I was dead. I rolled my eyes. The young man next to me leaned in. What's wrong, beautiful? Are you unhappy? Should I give you a pole dance? I giggled and ran my hand over his 8-pack. Oh my God, this is heaven. No need for a pole dance. Go put on a bunny-made outfit for me. He blushed and gave me a playful look before obediently going to change. Why do you only make him wear it and not me? You can't play favorites. Another young man pouted at me, trying to look cute. I patted his chest. You wear one too. Haha, this is the life of a goddess. I took out the SIM card tool, popped out my SIM card, and dropped it into my glass of red wine. You 5 idiots, I've faked my death. None of you will ever find me. The model massaging my legs saw this and gave me a charming smile. If you change your number, you have to tell me. I'll be sad if I can't find you. His handsome face made my legs weak. I nodded repeatedly. Don't worry, you're my little treasure. Before I could finish, a grim voice sounded next to my ear. Little treasure? Melody Finch, it's only been a few days and you're already playing so wild. The hairs on my arm stood on end. My scalp tingled. I didn't dare turn around. The leg massaging model looked behind me. Seeing 5 equally handsome faces, he blinked. Were you guys also hired by her? You have to respect the first come, first served rule. The leg massage job is already taken. How about you guys give her a pole dance instead? That was a bold suggestion. I was so scared my eyelashes trembled. I quickly reached out to cover his mouth. He completely missed my panic and thought I was flirting with him. He daringly took my hand and kissed it with a loud smack. It was as if he was declaring his territory. The sound was quite loud. I'm done for. This is a disaster. And it wasn't over. Just as the sound of the kiss faded, the other 2 models ran out, one in a bunny maid outfit and the other with a little cattail. They were ridiculously sexy. On any other day, I would have burst out laughing and pounced on them. But now, I didn't even have the courage to look at the men behind me. The one in the bunny suit saw them and sidled up to me, glaring at them jealously. I've already worn the maid outfit, so you guys can't wear it. Then he looked at me with a wounded expression. Aren't the 8 of us enough for you? Why did you find 5 more? F5? My vision went black. My eyelashes fluttered even more violently. All 5 of them were here. Crap, I'm so dead. Melody Finch. It was Ethan Knight's voice. Be a good girl, come here, and I can still overlook this. I admit, I was terrified. I stiffly turned my head and forced a charming smile. Really? When I turned around, I nearly had a heart attack. Ethan Knight was smiling gently, but his face was frosty. Even from a distance, I felt like I was being frozen solid. Ethan Pierce's face was dark. He looked like he wanted to skin me alive. Ethan Reynolds stared at me grimly. When he saw me look at him, he gave me a sharp, mocking smile. Ethan Sinclair's eyes were red, a mixture of guilt, regret, and anger at being deceived. Damn it, not a single one of them was easy to deal with. I swallowed hard and glanced at Ethan Sterling, who was standing off to the side. He seemed much calmer, still fiddling with his prayer beads. He looked the most harmless of the bunch. If I had to choose one of them, I would definitely choose him. I swung my legs off the model's lap, pushed away the young man who was leaning on me, and laughed awkwardly. Well, long time no see. I started walking toward Sterling. The other 4 men's faces instantly darkened. The first to speak was Ethan Sinclair. He gritted his teeth, his eyes red. Melody Finch, you're not dead. You deliberately deceived me, didn't you? I rubbed my nose. It wasn't exactly deliberate. I was kidnapped, but I bribed the kidnappers. I said the last part very quietly, feeling a little guilty. He took a deep breath. Just as I was expecting him to explode, he said in a hoarse voice, Melody Finch, as long as you're alive, that's all that matters. I was stunned. I instinctively looked at him. What was wrong with him? Had he changed? In the past, he would have locked me in a dark room to reflect on my mistakes. By now, I had reached Ethan Sterling. My 8 male models were very perceptive. Sensing the tense atmosphere, they obediently lined up, heads bowed, without saying a word. I smiled at Sterling. So, how did you guys find me? He gave me a kind smile, then squeezed the prayer beads in his hand so hard they shattered, scattering all over the ground. It was only then that I realized my mistake. Sterling was dangerous. I must have been possessed to think I could approach him. Even if his smile was beautiful, he was not someone I could mess with. I turned to run, but he grabbed me by the collar. Where are you going, Melody Finch? I was wrong. So wrong. My mind must have been foggy. I had forgotten that the reason he played with prayer beads wasn't because he was calm, but because he was incredibly volatile. The beads were to keep his temper in check. I racked my brain for an excuse. My stomach hurts. I need to go to the bathroom. Really? He leaned in closer, a wicked smile on his face. Your stomach hurts, but you can still hire 8 male models? Chapter 10. My vision went black. I wished I could find a hole to crawl into. Ethan Sterling's fingertips pressed against my lips. Melody Finch, am I not enough to satisfy you? At that question, my brain short-circuited and I blurted out, I've never tried. He actually laughed. He reached for my buttons with one hand. All right then, let's try now. My internal alarms blared. I quickly tried to stop him, but I accidentally stepped on one of the scattered prayer beads and lost my balance, falling backward. I'm done for just as I closed my eyes, bracing for impact. I landed in a firm embrace that smelled of a cool, crisp cologne. I looked up to see Ethan Reynolds staring down at me, his expression cold. Melody Finch, just how many times did you cheat on me? I closed my eyes. It's not cheating when it's an ex-wife, we're divorced. I can be with however many people I want, and it's all perfectly legal, he sneered. So, juggling 5 men at once, is that also perfectly legal? Should I help you remember that at the time, we were not yet divorced? I gave a very awkward laugh. That's all in the past, why bring it up now? It's not in the past, Ethan Pierce interjected. You played with our feelings, I was about to argue back, but Ethan Knight cut me off. Melody Finch? I answered instinctively, yes, I'm here. He looked at me with cold, hard eyes. Come back with me? You must be joking, Mr. Knight. Melody Finch is my girlfriend. She should be coming back with me. That was Ethan Sterling. Melody Finch asked me to take her to Bali. I've already bought the tickets. If she's going anywhere, it's with me. That was Ethan Pierce. I've changed my mind. I don't want the divorce anymore. Melody Finch should be coming with me to remarry. I've already booked an appointment at City Hall. That was Ethan Reynolds. The remaining Ethan Sinclair was about to speak, but was cut off by a glare from Pierce. You shut up. You have no right. Melody Finch was already terminally ill with cancer, and you still made her donate blood for your girlfriend. Are you even human? Sinclair retorted. Look who's talking. Are you any better? The two of them started arguing, neck and neck. In the end, no one won, so they took out their frustration on me. Once again, I was magnificently locked up. I sighed, looking at the brightly lit room. They were really cruel. Besides a TV and a phone, the room only had a bed and a blanket. The windows were welded shut. I couldn't escape even if I wanted to. Those shameless guys said they were leaving me here to reflect on my actions. They only came in at mealtimes. I didn't even have anyone to talk to. Out of sheer boredom, I resorted to my phone. I opened my social media app and a trending topic was pushed to me. The title was interesting, How the Queen of Stand-ins Climbed the Ranks. I thought it was a novel, but when I clicked on it, I realized with a jolt, hey, the Queen of Stand-ins is me. Huh, this is about me? I had to see what kind of stories today's netizens could come up with, but as I read, I was stunned. The imagination of these people was incredible. They said that to find me, Ethan Knight had turned the entire city upside down, working day and night. Ethan Reynolds hadn't gone to work for days, checking every single shop. Ethan Sinclair refused to believe I was dead and hired several people to dig through the collapsed ruins. Ethan Pierce gave up a multi-million-dollar deal and offered a $5 million reward for finding me. Only Ethan Sterling was calm, seemingly doing nothing, but in the end, it was he who located me. I blinked. They made it sound so real. I scrolled down and saw a related news story. Did Ethan Pierce really give up a multi-million-dollar deal? Did he really post a $5 million reward? Damn, he's that rich. He would spend $5 million to find someone, but only gave me $3 million when we broke up. Son of a, I gritted my teeth. I'm not angry at all, really. Once my anger subsided, I went back to the article. Could it be that what these netizens wrote was true? Thinking about it, the only one who could have found me so quietly was probably Ethan Sterling. That guy was the most dangerous and mysterious. I had been with him for over a year and still had no idea how capable he was. The thought made me angry again. I slammed my phone onto the bed. Don't these people have anything better to do than to look for me? And my poor 8 male models, they must be pining for me in my big villa, unable to eat or sleep. I looked at my empty hands. Just half a day ago, these hands were caressing abs. Now, heth, I couldn't take it anymore. I was going to turn to the dark side. At dinner that night, I slammed my chopsticks on the table. The 5 CEOs all looked up at me. I gritted my teeth and roared, I don't eat fatty meat. Ethan Sterling calmly picked the fatty meat out of my bowl. If you don't want to eat it, then don't. No need to throw a tantrum. I ground my teeth. Damn it, the words were on the tip of my tongue, but I chickened out. No, I need to think of another way. I need to choose my words carefully. I contemplated all through dinner and didn't manage to say a single word. That night, I sat bolt upright in bed, making a solemn vow to speak my mind the next day. But the next day, instead of the 5 CEOs, I was greeted by Ethan Sinclair's damsel in distress, Evelyn. She glared at me with venom in her eyes, hissing, "Melody Finch, why didn't you just die?" I looked at her, then my face lit up with joy. I grabbed her hands. "Sister, how did you get in here?" My God, I knew this girl was something special. She could get in and out of the villa before. And now she could get in here too if she could get in. She could get me out, Mom, I'm about to be free. Evelyn was momentarily stunned by my actions. Then she shook my hands off in disgust. "Melody Finch, do you think faking your death will make Ethan come back to you? Don't even dream of it," I nodded. "I'm not dreaming. I just want to know how to get out of here." Her expression darkened. "Are you showing off to me? Showing off that Ethan is protecting you by not letting me see you? Melody Finch, you're such a slut. I wasn't happy about that." "I'm talking to you nicely. Why are you insulting me? Besides, all that blood at the hospital was from me. The least you could do is thank me, not get angry at me," she sneered. "Ha, blood donation? Let me tell you the truth, Melody Finch. I was never sick. I was just lying to Ethan. Every time I pretended to be in pain, he would make you give blood. Don't you understand your place by now?" she gloated. "You can't compare to me in any way." Chapter 11. I blinked, about to say something, when there was a loud bang. I looked up to see the door had been kicked open. Both Evelyn and I jumped, looking up to see Ethan Sinclair standing in the doorway, his eyes red. It looked like he had heard our entire conversation. Evelyn's face turned pale. "Ethan, listen to me, it's not what you think." But he wasn't listening. He rushed forward and slapped her across the face. Her fair cheek instantly turned red and swelled up like a balloon. Tears streamed down her face. "Ethan, how could you hit me?" He gritted his teeth. "How did I never realize you were such a venomous woman? If you hadn't been pretending to be sick, I never would have made Melody donate blood. She was already in the final stages of stomach cancer when she was donating to you. You're not even grateful, and you even hired people to kidnap her. What is your heart made of? How can you be so evil?" After being berated, Evelyn's face turned ugly. "Ethan Sinclair, you have the nerve to blame me. You said you liked me, but the person in your heart has always been Melody Finch." I blinked in confusion. "Me, he likes me? What a joke." "Ha, I deliberately tormented her. I wanted her to hate you so that you could never have her in this lifetime." Evelyn dropped her innocent act, stood up, and glared at him. "Melody Finch has terminal cancer? Good. Let her go to hell with her hatred for you." He was furious. He ordered his men to drag her away. Then, with red eyes, he knelt before me. "Melody Finch, I know I was wrong. I was a jerk before. I'm so sorry. Do you hate me?" I looked at him seriously. "No, I don't. I know you hate me, What?" He looked at me stunned. "You said you don't hate me?" "That's right." I gave him a strange look. "I was your stand-in. You paid me. It was a fair transaction. Even though I gave your girlfriend blood, I have no reason to hate you." I thought that by being frank, he would be happy, but his face grew even paler. "Even at this point, you don't hate me. Melody Finch, does that mean you never loved me at all?" I really didn't know what was going on in his head. I laughed. "Why would I love you? For making me give you my blood?" His tall frame swayed. He stared at me with burning intensity. You were with the other 4 just to make me angry?" I thought he was insane. I looked at him with a hint of pity. "Why would I want to make you angry? I was with them because they have money, of course." "I don't believe you." He grabbed my arm. "How could you not love me? You had terminal cancer, and you were still willing to donate blood just because I asked. Isn't that love?" I rubbed my nose. "The blood I gave your girlfriend was actually from blood bags. I bought them for $1,000 a bag." As his face crumbled in disbelief, I added with a smile, "As for the terminal cancer, I lied to you." The moment those last words left my lips, all the life seemed to drain out of him. He staggered and sat on the floor, looking at me in disbelief. "How is that possible? You're just saying that to hurt me, right?" I glanced up at him, and my eyes widened in surprise. I saw Ethan Reynolds and the others. They were standing outside the door, and I had no idea how long they had been listening. After a brief moment of panic, I quickly composed myself. Since my cover was already blown, I might as well be completely honest with them. If they gave up on me, they would let me go, right? Then I could go back to hiring my 8 male models, but doing this might get me blacklisted by other CEOs. I felt a headache coming on. This stand in business wasn't easy. Ethan Sinclair was devastated. He lunged at me as if to kiss me by force, but before he could touch me, he was kicked away by Ethan Sterling. Sterling looked at me calmly. "Are you done playing, Melody Finch?" I didn't understand what he meant. I just blinked blankly. The other 3 had no intention of helping Sinclair. After all, he was a love rival. Now that he was down, not kicking him while he was down was the most they could do. They had their pride, after all. Oh wait, Sterling did kick him. Sterling has no pride. After Evelyn's little stunt, the 4 CEOs became even stricter with their watch over me. They were practically attached to my hip. Watching them busy themselves with repairing the gate, I asked the question that had been bothering me all along. "Why aren't you guys with your girlfriends? What are you all doing wasting your time here with me?" The entire place fell silent. After a moment, Ethan Sterling pushed up his gold-rimmed glasses and said coolly, "I'll tell you tonight." Since he wouldn't say, no one else did either. My question remained unanswered. I can't even touch a male model today. So frustrating. That night, I heard a rustling at my door. My hair stood on end. I looked for something to defend myself with, but found nothing in the room. I gritted my teeth and held my phone, ready to use it in its alternate form, a brick. If a thief dared to come in, I'd give him a good whack. I tiptoed to the door. Just as the person outside opened it, I swung my phone. With a yelp of pain, the lights flickered on. I looked closely. It was Ethan Pierce. My brain short-circuited. I asked, "Did you start your company by being a thief?" He was speechless. "I have something to tell you," I said, and sat down obediently. He hesitated for a moment before speaking. "I don't actually have an old flame." "Huh. That was just a marriage my mother arranged for me." I nodded. "Oh, so what's that got to do with me?" He was stunned, his expression complicated. "Last time I really thought you were dead. And then." He reached out to pinch my cheek, but I dodged him irritably. He wasn't angry, just smiled softly. "I didn't realize you were so unromantic." I nodded. "That's right. My gentle and sweet persona was all an act." He stared at me for a long time. Just as I was secretly tightening my grip on my phone, ready to hit him again, he said, "It was only then that I realized I really like you." Dude, it's not April Fool's Day. Chapter 12. Ethan Pierce said softly, "I'm not kidding. Melody Finch, will you still marry me?" I could tell he was serious. His eyes were full of hope. I looked at him calmly. "No. Why?" His confident smile froze on his face. "Didn't you say you loved me? Didn't you want me to take you to Bali? Melody Finch, let's get back together. I'll give you anything you want." I ran a hand through my hair in frustration. "I don't love you, Ethan Pierce." He forced a smile that was uglier than a grimace. "But..." I was determined to lay everything out on the table. "As for Bali, I just wanted you to give me more money. But we had so many beautiful memories." I glanced at him. "Ethan Pierce, that was all an act. I will never fall in love with you." His eyes reddened instantly. He looked at me with a possessive glint. I felt a strange sense of fear and instinctively tried to back away, but it was too late. He pinned my shoulders against the wall. Just as his lips were about to touch mine, my pupils contracted, and I kicked him in the leg. Even as he winced in pain, he didn't let go. "You don't love me? Then why would you do so much for me? Why would you beg me not to leave when I wanted to break up?" His words were almost a whisper. I sighed. "Ethan Pierce, you should know very well that I was just a stand-in you hired. You never loved me from the beginning. The only reason you want to be with me now is because of your male ego. Besides, I'm not an idiot. Why would I fall in love with a man who yells at me and shows me no respect?" He froze, looking at me with a lost expression. I just don't know how to love someone. You can learn in the future, but that has nothing to do with me." My tone must have been too distant because he looked devastated, his body even starting to sway. Seeing his dazed state, I quickly pushed him away and ran out. Just as I thought I was free, I was stopped by Ethan Reynolds. He looked at me with a complicated expression. My internal alarms went off. No way, not again. Is he also here to bare his soul? The thought had barely crossed my mind when he said, "Let's remarry, Melody Finch." My God, I touched my face. Anyone would think I was some kind of femme fatale. Having learned my lesson from Ethan Pierce, I was much more direct this time. Ethan Reynolds, I don't love you, I was only with you for your money. A flicker of hurt crossed his eyes. I have a lot of money I can give you. What should I do? I'm actually a little tempted. Just as I was having an internal debate, Ethan Knight appeared from behind him. Melody Finch, I have more money than he does. I looked at the two of them, genuinely conflicted for a moment. To be honest, the offer was very tempting. Maybe I should just choose one of them. No, I immediately dismissed the thought. I didn't want either of them. This endless entanglement had to stop. I looked at them and said honestly, I'm not interested. Everything I did for you two was just to get your money. Now that I have the money, we should go our separate ways. My words were firm. Ethan Reynolds pursed his lips. You really don't love me at all? No. Who would love a man who was comforting another woman while his own wife was sick? Even if he was rich, I wouldn't be with him. He was a smart man. He probably knew what a jerk he had been. After my firm rejection, he lowered his head in silence. Ethan Knight stared at me intently. I haven't given you my money yet. That reminded me, and I got angry. You have the nerve to bring that up. You promised me $8 million, and you still haven't transferred it. So stingy. Hearing my complaint, he didn't get angry. Instead, he smiled. Get engaged to me, and I'll give you the $8 million. Also, if you marry me, I'll give you a $10 million dowry. I hardened my heart against the temptation. What about your Claire? Claire was his childhood sweetheart. They had grown up together, but his family had fallen on hard times, so she went abroad. Now that she was bankrupt, she had come back to rekindle their romance. She was the one he cherished. At my mention of her, he paused. I have my own plans. I chuckled softly and said calmly, Ethan Knight, you have someone else in your heart, yet you're proposing to me. It just feels dirty. He froze, the moonlight casting a vulnerable shadow on his face. But I felt no sympathy. I still remembered how he had treated me. He would make me drink with his business partners until my stomach ached, and he wouldn't let me stop. His mother would spill hot tea on me, and every time he saw it, he would just tell me to be more patient with her. To be honest, it would be a lie to say I was never attracted to a man as outstanding as him. But unfortunately, in the year I was his stand-in, I had suffered too much. I could never marry into a family like that. I had no interest in staying. I looked at him and said, there's no need to talk about it anymore. You can give me the $8 million if you want or don't. It doesn't matter. I turned and walked away. From a distance, I heard a hoarse voice behind me. I'll transfer it to your account later. A smile touched my lips, but I didn't look back. $8 million, secured. The smile hadn't even left my face when a lazy, dangerous voice sounded next to my ear. Melody Finch. I turned to see Ethan Sterling holding a cat, lazily scratching its chin. I was a pro at this by now. Before he could even ask, I said bluntly, don't love you, it was an act, only wanted your money. Ha, he sneered. He walked up to me. The fluffy cat in his arms seemed to sense the tension and leaped down, hiding in a corner. Are you done playing yet, Melody Finch? He leaned in close, his long, dark eyelashes hiding a dangerous glint in his eyes. I played dumb. I don't know what you're talking about. It's fine, he said, slowly unbuttoning his cuffs. I have plenty of time to play with you. Chapter 13. With that, a group of men in black suits appeared behind him, surrounding me. He said coldly, please escort Miss Finch home. Then he turned and walked away. Looking at the menacing expressions of the men in black, I didn't dare resist. I could only follow them back resentfully. As I left, I glared at his back. What a pretentious jerk Melody Finch, the professional stand-in, out of the frying pan and into the fire. That shameless Ethan Sterling had imprisoned me and even confiscated my phone. I stared at the white walls, bored out of my mind, and started to pester the guard watching me. I asked him everything from his age to when he planned to get married, until I even knew how many moles he had on his thigh. The guard was on the verge of tears. I finally let him off the hook and said with a sigh, I don't have my phone and I'm bored. How about you read me some recent news? The guard breathed a sigh of relief and quickly took out his phone. The queen of stand-ins has become the new apple of everyone's eye. Various CEOs are pursuing her, only to be turned away. Huh, why does that sound so familiar? I looked at him suspiciously. He seemed to realize this wasn't appropriate news. He cleared his throat and switched to another hot topic. It is rumored that the son of the richest man in a city has ordered a custom diamond ring, possibly for a prop. The guard was sweating bullets. "You know what, miss, how about I find an audiobook for you?" How strange, but it was a way to pass the time. I yawned. "Fine." So the big guy played a ghost story for me. As the story progressed, he became tense, completely engrossed. Just then I asked, "What's the surname of the richest man in a city?" He answered instinctively, "Sterling." Oh, I see, it was Ethan Sterling. He was going to propose to someone. To who? That girl named Susie. I felt a pang in my heart. The guard seemed to realize he had been tricked. His face darkened. He turned off the audiobook. My phone is out of battery. Well, back to being bored. I started picking at the flower petals on the balcony. Eventually, I got so frustrated that I started cursing under my breath. "Ethan Sterling, you shameless jerk, you lock me up and give me nothing. I'm so angry. When I get out of here, I'm going to..." Before I could finish, I sensed something. I instinctively turned around to see him standing behind me. I had no idea how long he had been listening. I forced a laugh. "Well, you see. How about you let me explain?" He smiled. "You're going to do what to me?" I deflated, not daring to speak. Just as I was racking my brain for a way to get him to let me go, he suddenly handed me a small box. My heart skipped a beat. His tone left no room for argument. "Open it." I did as I was told and froze. Inside the box was a dazzling diamond ring. "No way, Ethan Sterling. You're just cruel. You're proposing to your Susie, and you're showing me the ring to rub it in my face. You're not human." My face turned cold. I snapped the box shut. "Don't bring your girlfriend's things to me. It's disgusting." He frowned. "What girlfriend?" "Isn't it that girl named Susie?" I retorted, my neck stiff with anger. He still wouldn't admit it. Was he trying to two-time? He was silent for a moment, then took out his phone and made a call. "Bring Susie here." My eyes were practically shooting fire. "Ethan Sterling, you've gone too far. Are you going to propose to Susie in front of me? I hope you fail miserably. I hope she runs off with someone else. Pregnant with their child." I cursed at him in my head, but didn't dare to show it. After all, he was a shameless man, and I was afraid he'd hit a woman. Just as I was fuming, a bald man walked in, holding a small cat. I was confused. Does a marriage proposal need a cat as a witness? The thought had barely crossed my mind when I heard him say coolly, "Susie, come here." And then I saw the fat cat sashay over to him, stretching out its paws coquettishly. "Huh, its name is Susie." I was stunned. He sneered. "I don't have an old flame. Will you marry me?" I was furious. I was so stupid. Unbelievably stupid. I took a deep breath. Ethan Sterling was the first person on my stand-in journey. I had initially wanted to have a real relationship with him, but then I overheard his secretary say, "Melody Finch. She's just a whim for Mr. Sterling. How can she compare to Susie? She's just a toy to pass the time. When Susie arrives, he'll dump her." That's when I thought I was a stand-in, and my pride couldn't take it, so I went all out and found 4 other CEOs. And now, a year later, he was telling me that Susie was a fat cat? Damn it, I couldn't take it. I was losing my mind. I turned to run. He grabbed me. "Melody Finch, you haven't answered me yet." I rolled my eyes at him. "I chased you for a year, and now you think you can get me to marry you with just one sentence. In your dreams," he suddenly smiled, a smile like melting snow. "All right then, I'll chase you." My heart pounded. Mom, I think. I'm in trouble.